If you are a Pakistan fan, turn away. Turn away. The rain didn't come in Bengaluru. And New Zealand have beaten Sri Lanka by 5 wickets. They've reached that point, that magical number of 10. And we think, and that's Dav Whatmore who's here in the studio with me, we think they've done enough to reach the semi-finals of this ICC Cricket World Cup. As things stand, we'll see all those numbers coming up on our screen, but you would think they've done enough now. That once the rain didn't come, it was always New Zealand's sort of position to throw away. We've got it there. We still got to fix that net run rate.
Yep.
So, do you think they've done enough?
Absolutely, they've done enough. They won it with in under half the time allotted to them. So they lost a few wickets, but that was in the process of going hard. So they clearly were the better team again today against Sri Lanka, which was a bit disappointing for them.
I'm trying to bring up what I have. And New Zealand's net run rate currently is 0.743. Pakistan 0.036. So you're looking at what?
It's a huge difference.
Pakistan need to win by, say, 250 runs or more.
Yeah, I don't know the actual calculation, but it's a lot of runs, and I don't think it's possible for them to do it.
So that's plus 0.7 net run rate over 9 matches. That's calculated, right? Is that how it works? You don't know.
It's a cumulative thing. Yeah, it's over 9, not just one game. You keep adding to, runs for, runs against. It's not a complicated thing, but it is for me.
Okay. What to do with these calculations in cricket? The DLS system. The teams too have got it wrong at times. We remember
South Africa.
We remember Afghanistan a couple of months ago at the Asia Cup as well. But on a more serious note, this is the New Zealand team's fear. This is the New Zealand who somehow get into a semi-final of a World Cup. And if my memory serves me right, 2007, 2011, 15 final, 19 final, and this one. This obviously is going to get confirmed only after that England game. But we think they've done enough. So that's what, 5 World Cup semi-finals in a row?
It's pretty good, isn't it? They were the bridesmaid. They haven't won it, but they are competitive. And, what you see is what you get. They'll never give up. But one thing that is lacking is that final push, that final little jump over the hurdle. They just don't seem to have it.
They had it. They got tripped by the rules last time.
Well, that's
Something
right.
of a boundary countback.
Some
rubbish like that.
Yeah. But still the result was bridesmaid again. So, they're a good team. But to me, the most positive note today for them is Trent Boult getting 3 wickets in the first 10 overs, which he wasn't doing the business in the last 8 games. Today, he did it, and that would be a real plus for New Zealand because he's got a bit of confidence in getting wickets up front.
Okay, we've got the match summary with us. We'll go full frame on it so that all of you can, if you missed the game, you'll know what's happened in this match. Sri Lanka batting first. New Zealand won the toss. There was the threat of rain. So Kane Williamson doing the right thing by opting to bowl first. And then Sri Lanka once again disappointing with the bat. What's it with Sri Lanka and the moving ball, Dav? I'll get to you on that. Bowled out for 171, and even 171 actually looks very good because they were 128 for 9. It was that bad it had got. And in the first 10, they were 71 for 5, with Kusal Perera scoring 51 of those. In response, New Zealand, with net run rate to look at, came out swinging, and they got there pretty comfortably. Don't worry about the 5 wickets. They were just going for it. So the campaign ends for Sri Lanka with just 2 wins. And if I just try to remember, they lost their first 3 games, then they won 2, and then they've lost 4 on the bounce. There's something just not going right for them. And on the basis of this, they'll need Bangladesh to lose very badly against Australia to get into that Champions Trophy. Not looking good at the moment.
That can happen too, by the way, just quietly. Probably not, but
somebody
it can
called
happen.
Maxwell tees off or a Warner tees off.
Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, but very sad for Sri Lanka. I mean, again, the moving ball brought about their downfall. I know that Trent Bolt bowled beautifully. He finally got that ball to move away, and he had the straighter one also, which trapped the left-hander LBW, and he got the right-hander nicking. He got one to swing that got a wicket. So, you know, it's okay to receive good balls because you've got to expect that as opening batsmen and top order players. It's not your right to just get easy ones. You are going to get good deliveries, but you've got to be able to handle it. So they didn't do it today. Any swinging ball requires to watch it very carefully.
But Dav, just to interrupt you, now when you're talking about that, let's go back to the India game where you said, oh, it's a one-off. But then we'd also seen it happen in the final of the Asia Cup. There's clearly a problem, and it's a problem of technique, perhaps. And as you said, they're not watching it enough. But they have someone like a Mahela Jayawardene there. They've got someone like Kumara Sangakkara there in Sri Lanka. They have Aravinda De Silva over there.
Sangakkara doesn't do any work. He lives in England.
I know that, but he is Sri Lankan.
Yeah.
And if they want, they have these technically accomplished batters to help out the new generation. Mahela's on board.
He's a consultant.
As a consultant.
Right. Yeah.
But perhaps what they need to do, because this is a one-day match. Imagine playing a test series. And what surprises me is that this is a team which went and beat South Africa in South Africa a couple of years ago. Big surprise. And the ball does a few things over there.
Yeah, it does. And it bounces as well. First time they've done it, Sri Lanka. And young Kushal Perera was instrumental in getting a lot of runs to achieve that. But yes, certainly they have the expertise there, and you can have the best coaches. I think that's always a handy thing and a good thing to have. But if you need to improve in any area, you've got to practice it. Practice, like a subcontinent team going over to a Western country, and they have the best coaches there. But the ball bounces and there's a bit more carry. But you will improve if you keep playing on those surfaces. And in this day and age, where teams haven't got enough time to have these one or two practice matches, becomes very difficult for touring teams.
But it's also because of too much of T20 which players are now playing. And it's also, you brought up this point, that not every cricket board is as financially solvent like the Indian board to tell its players, just play the IPL, don't play anything else. And they also get paid a lot of money in terms of their contracts and whatever else. While the other teams, even England, are struggling to sort of hold their flock together. I mean, Jason Roy, one of the reasons he probably didn't make it was because he'd gone and signed a global deal and he moved out of his central contract. We saw the same with Bolt. But Bolt came back, he's a bowler. But for the batters, they're playing too much of T20. Is that the problem? They just don't know how to adjust their pace to these 50-over games.
Well, the 4-over game, 4-over for bowlers, but the 20-over game certainly is a requirement to get on with it. And there is a huge attraction, obviously, for the financials. It is a contributing factor for some. I'm not sure about all of them. For some, it's much easier for these batsmen to fall into that mode of aggression. But others have got the ability, seriously, to be able to modify their game to suit these different formats. And when you mentioned, that the Indian Cricket Board has got plenty of funding to restrict their players, other than the IPL, there's a few other boards also pretty well off. They can perhaps begin to, put some restrictions on their players to play more of their domestic cricket and less of these franchise models all over the world.
Okay, I think we have graphics just to look at Sri Lanka, their scores in this tournament, if we can bring that up. I remember they started off pretty decently. They got 340 odd against Pakistan as well, and we were thinking that their bowling is struggling.
Hyderabad,
But as the tournament went on, the batting just kept sort of losing steam.
It changed when the captain actually got injured.
Exactly, that's I was coming to that. And when Dasun Shanaka went off, Kusal Mendes had got about 190 odd runs in those first 2 games. And then he probably didn't even get 100 of the next 7.
Yeah, he struggled, didn't he? It appeared as though it did affect him. That extra pressure of being, the captain appeared to affect his output of runs. But really, I mean, the captain's more of responsibility when he's on the field to make important decisions on rotation of bowlers and field placements. For when he bats, he's got to be able to totally get that the leadership thing out of his head. But it didn't happen for him. I think there is some correlation between leadership responsibilities and his form.
Okay, let's look at the innings progression. This is how New Zealand have chased this down. Okay, first 10, 73. Conway getting runs after a while. It sort of dropped off the pace, and others had seemingly gone up in that race for most runs of this.
It's the same runs, but a lot less wickets.
Less wickets.
Yeah.
But they had to go for it. Why, when it's in your hands and there's rain around, you have to get to the 20-over mark and target that. Either you get it in 20, or once the 20 are over, then just get towards it. I mean, I had a wager going, say 23 overs. A run out happened, or I sort of would be part of the sweepstakes, but it was 23.2.
Diggy, is it possible to know the rain's coming? Like, you can't see it, can you? Because it's dark.
Yeah, it's dark.
But do they have like a radar that tells them it's coming?
But the joke in India, right? The weathermen, not always do they get it wrong. It was 90% chance of rain when it didn't arrive. Yeah. That's what our friends from Pakistan were hoping for. A lot of rain.
Oh, yes. Yeah, but it didn't occur.
It didn't happen. We've got the updated points table as well. If you could just sort of bring that up, because we'll need to talk about the Pakistan situation over here. So Pakistan now have another day before they play England. For them, seemingly, it looks like it's over. And the reason I'm showing this is because we also want to draw a parallel with the points table from the 2019 World Cup. So if we can find that graphics and bring up that graphic, the 2019 World Cup, that will show you that India, England, Australia and New Zealand qualified. But Pakistan and New Zealand both ended up on the same number of points. That's 11. Guess who missed out on net run rate? Pakistan.
Another bridesmaid.
Another bridesmaid. But just talking about Pakistan, one feels for them, because when you look at this World Cup, they could have already been at 10. That South Africa game was the one which went away from them. And am I wrong in saying that one decision cost Pakistan a shot at a World Cup semi-final?
You're not wrong at all. That's the fact. That's the fact. It just looked, it had to be that. And if there's any referral, it has to come from the batting team, not the bowling team. If you're standing there, there are a lot of other LBW shouts that were given out when no way it was even close. This one was just adjacent, right in front.
But Dav, unlike other sports, you have the International Olympic Committee, you have FIFA. Cricket's a very different kind of sport where the cricket boards, they call the shots. The ICC is effectively just a common meeting ground. We've seen in the past when the ball tampering scandal happened, when Inzamam took his team off, the ICC, under pressure, removed that result. They match abandoned. It wasn't a default. They removed the word default from that. Going forward, should these, once we've had this situation at this World Cup with Pakistan, where many other teams were not too happy with the way the technology has been, or that ridiculous scene we saw with Angelo Matthews being timed out. These are the sort of clear and obvious errors. I'm using a football term for VAR, which isn't very accurate at the moment. This is what cricket needs to sort out.
Sort the confusion out. There's a little confusion there, then it sort of spoils everyone's ability to make decisions and, you know, and understand the game further. But certainly the ICC are made up of all those teams, those 10 teams there, plus all the associates. So they're not going to change much. They're not going to vote themselves out or whatever and get a commission in, you know. But they certainly need. They will always have reviews, and they will do so again after this tournament. But if it's at all possible to try and erase some of the confusion, would be very handy.
Okay, we've got this points table from 2019. Let's bring up the current points table because I have the updated scenarios.
Okay.
And that. Okay. When we bring it up, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm going to be right on this one. We need to put a Q over here. I believe, and we are calling it here on WION, New Zealand have qualified for the semi-finals. That's because, assuming they bat first and score 300, Pakistan would need to beat England by 287 runs. I know England have been horrible, but they're not getting out for 13.
No, and they have an added incentive.
Down there, to stay up there.
That's right, absolutely. They have
but I think they're through as well. Don't you think so? Unless they lose by a big margin.
Yeah, look.
It's very similar between England and Sri Lanka, what it is between New Zealand and Pakistan.
You don't want to take anything for granted. I know that they will be really, you know, pulling out all stops to ensure that, you know, there's just no way known that they will be, you know, missing out in that tournament two years from now.
Yep. Okay. Afghanistan need to beat South Africa by 438 runs.
Well, I think they got a chance, but nothing like that.
438. 438 only happens once, and that too, South Africa chased it down with 1 ball and 1 wicket remaining. You can chase down 438. You can't beat South Africa by 438.
No, you can't.
You'll have to score a world record, say 600 runs, which we.
But still a lot of interest in the game. But certainly that 4, as you said, the Q should be there against New Zealand's name, and that's set.
That's set. Okay, let's quickly just look at one more thing. Let's sort of try and wrap our heads around New Zealand's campaign, because you were very confident all through. You kept telling me that Digvijay, they will be in the semis. Now we think they're there. Officially, we'll have to wait, but. Is this when they become very dangerous? That we've seen New Zealand teams fall in the semi-final hurdle. But the last 2 World Cups, they're there. And guess who they'll play? They'll play India. And that game's going to come from Mumbai. And New Zealand against India wasn't the easiest of games for India in this juggernaut that we've seen over the last month or so. That was Dharamshala game.
That's right.
Kohli, and there was a run chase, and Kohli was there in the end.
The first thing they have to contend with is the huge numbers of Indian fans that will come to
smaller
support.
Ground.
And a smaller ground, yeah, for sure.
No, it's a smaller ground as well in terms of personnel.
Yeah.
Not like the Narendra Modi Stadium or the Eden Gardens, which can hold 65. I think it's 37,000.
Right.
The Wankhede.
Yeah. So should India feel really worried is the question, but most people will be asking and discussing.
I can tell you they're all discussing, we haven't had one bad game, it's New Zealand again. That's what we're hearing in the newsroom. Yeah. And New Zealand have this habit of tripping India up.
Well, that's right, over, in recent times anyway. The things going for New Zealand, one is the captain is back.
Yes, he is.
And he's a very important player in that team as a leader, very good batsman. Smart and makes the right decisions more times than not. The other thing is Trent Boult, who they rely on a lot to get wickets in the first 10 overs, haven't been doing it except today. So if his form is now, taking a turn for the better, he could be a little tricky as well when the openers start batting for India. New Zealand have a very honest set of boys who just play. They don't do anything hugely spectacular. They just do it with efficiency.
I think that's the word, efficiency, no flair.
Yeah.
There's no flair there, and that's what Mitchell said ahead of this game, right? He said, we're not bothered. And I was a bit harsh at them, and I must admit it here. This is cyberspace, everything is available. But what I said was that we were perhaps guilty of talking them up as these big favourites after one win over England, who weren't so good in this tournament, as we later realised. And then the three comparatively weaker teams.
Yeah.
And then they came up against India, Australia and South Africa, and they got a real pasting over there.
For some, not all.
Yeah.
Oh, with their bowling attack, you mean? Yeah.
And then the Pakistan game, they were unlucky.
Yeah.
But just since we're on the topic of efficiency, after losing 4 on the bounce, it can mentally wreck you. And you've been part of campaigns where teams have lost, and then it sort of, you start questioning your abilities. We saw that with England this time, where seemingly decent, obvious decisions they started to get wrong. What does this tell you about this New Zealand team? That they never lost that killer instinct and that belief in themselves.
The belief.
And never at any point it looked to me this morning from their body language that they were shaky.
That's what they do. And, you know, you did say they lost 4 in a row, which is correct, you know, mathematically correct. They lost 4 in a row. But I don't think they ever lost any faith in their own ability, because, except for that one game where they would have, you know, revisited that and broke it down and, you know, got all the right answers what not to do next time. So, you know, from that point of view, their confidence haven't been broken too much, haven't been shaken too much, because they all know that, you know, that team, despite losing, they came pretty close to beating that number 1 team, India, and Australia, who whacked the ball out of sight. They just came within, what, 15 runs?
5 runs.
5 runs.
288.
Yeah.
388, 383.
Yeah.
And that too, I think, Nisham got run out in the end. And the 2 great fieldings, you know, Maxwell and Labuschagne.
Yeah,
there were 2 hits, 1 hit away.
Yeah, so you can say when you're reviewing those games, you get confidence from it. You know, okay, you didn't get the points, but boy, oh boy, you know.
Good performances.
Yeah. One game, yes, they did play really badly, South African match. But that's what they are. They're very, you know, just honest guys who, you know, just want to play for each other. And
on that, let's just, since Dav is talking about that, let's bring up New Zealand's record so far in this tournament. And after we talk on that, we can just look at Sri Lanka as well. Because there's something about the Kiwis, you know, I think every cricket fan says he's an Indian, but if he has to pick a second team, it's always New Zealand. Do we have that graphics? Let's bring up. I'll go from top of my mind. I mean, England, 9 wickets, the first game.
Yeah, New Zealand's your second team, but I think Afghanistan's challenging that too now.
Yeah, Netherlands by 99, again, became a bit of a struggle, especially when they were batting. Beat Bangladesh emphatically. I think those 2 games were Hyderabad. Afghanistan cantered through, then it started. Lost to India by 4 wickets in Dharamsala. Lost to Australia by 5 runs. That was again Dharamsala, wasn't it?
Yep.
Then the South Africa one, sort of, we thought that's going to be a hammering which will be difficult
and
for
they
them
batted
to
second.
overcome.
They batted second, I think.
Yes, they won the toss.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's a bad
And then
decision.
Pakistan, which, to be fair to them, how many teams in world cricket have scored 400 and lost a game?
Oh, that's right.
Just 2.
Yeah.
Now New Zealand, and before that, Australia.
That was a full game. This one was only a Duckworth Lewis 20 over thing.
Same right here, right? At Bengaluru.
That's right.
On this ground.
That's right. So, yeah, look, the whole campaign hasn't been that bad when you look at it. If you just gauge it purely on win and losses, yes, you'll say, well, you know, they're not that great and they shouldn't win that semi-final. But it's the way in which you play the games.
And in fact, the Australia game could have gone any way. So then if they had won that, they would have been on 6 wins as well. So clear difference between the teams who sort of made it and the teams which haven't. There's another interesting stat I want to bring up. It's not a stat. We've seen this young boy, Rachin Ravindra, play absolutely sensationally through this World Cup. Let's look at the most runs in this tournament, and then we can look at most wickets as well, because I'm told he's top of the charts.
He's leading.
For most runs, Rachin Ravindra, the Bengaluru boy from Wellington. But there he is.
565.
565. In fact, this is a world record. Most runs by any under-25 player at a World Cup.
Okay.
And guess whose record he beat? Any guesses?
Yeah, I did read it somewhere. I can't remember.
It's in the name. It's in the name.
Sachin.
Yes.
Sachin Tendulkar.
The great Sachin Tendulkar's record. I think Tendulkar was that 96 World Cup. He got 100 against you in Delhi.
He did. Yeah.
137, hit Ravindra Pushpakumara for 6 boundaries and an over as well. And you still won the game.
Yeah.
Ended the career of Manoj Prabhakar, did he? So that Jayasuriya did.
Small ground too.
Small ground. Smaller Kotla. This is a slightly bigger one. But most runs for this tournament, Rachin Ravindra, 565. What a revelation. Looking at 9 games, and you look at the ones below him. This is where I'm very impressed. De Kock,
some big names.
Absolute master for South Africa in this format. Gun player, at least in white ball cricket. Numbers 2, 3, 4 and 5. All of them have claims to be legends of their respective countries. Perhaps Kohli is up there when it comes to the greats of cricket. But numbers 2, 4 and 5 can claim to be at least in their all-time 11s of their countries.
They're hugely experienced too. I mean, you know.
A young boy, we didn't know much of him when he came in. That century against England we thought was a fluke. But he carried on.
Yeah, he'll lose the top ranking though, you know, in the next couple of days because he just started the last round. But, you know, that said, you know, he's been an absolute revelation and he's still got maybe 2 games more to go to add to that.
2 more
Certainly
games.
1 more, you know.
But are you surprised with number of runs that have happened? So 9 games, 560. That's an average of what? 9 5s are 45, 9 6s are 54. 60 runs a game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and he was pretty lucky to play the very first game, wasn't he?
Yes.
With an injury or illness or something.
Gayle sat out.
Yeah.
Williamson wasn't fit.
That's right. So otherwise,
and they bumped him up to 3.
That's right. Otherwise, he wouldn't have played. So you know, amazing that you know how it happens. Opportunity always comes when you least expect it. You know.
But the good players, they grab it. They grab that opportunity.
Yeah, you got to be ready.
Yeah, we ran the story on Meg Lanning. How in her second game she scored 100 for Australia. Never looked back. Great career coming to an end today.
She was a wonderful player, captain too, good captain
too, and what 5. She led Australia to 5 world titles.
Yep.
That's a lot. She won 7, I think, overall in her career. Okay, let's take some questions now. Let's take some questions. I can tell you just scrolling through. People very happy that Pakistan haven't made it.
I can imagine.
You can. So, Mohan Raj saying 1992 champions, Pakistan have not qualified. And 1990s, he's saying the 92 champions, Pakistan didn't qualify for the knockouts in 96. I don't think that's true. They played the quarter-final against India in Bengaluru. Ajay Jadeja hitting 6 of Waqar Yunus.
In 96?
96. They played the quarter-final.
Okay,
Wasim sat out. Javed Mihdad's last game.
Sri Lanka played England at Faisalabad.
And thrashed them, absolutely. Yeah, so Sikar is saying Sri Lanka won the 96 World Cup and didn't qualify for the quarterfinals or the Super 6 back then in 99.
99 in England.
Same thing. Won in 2019, didn't qualify 2023. And Manoj says Australia 92 and Sri Lanka 99 were the defending champions who also didn't qualify for the knockout stages. So England joining an unwanted record over there.
Small trend.
Small trend. Karan doesn't give up hope yet. Karan says Pakistan are going to beat England by 274 runs and they will qualify for the semi-finals. Pray for Pakistan team. It's cricket, and in cricket anything can happen, as Maxwell has shown.
Deal. Pakistan.
You're a former coach of Pakistan.
Well, I was there for... Yes, I was, yeah.
But this looks a bit too much.
It is. It's a bridge way too far. Yeah.
Okay, Kritika has a comment. Kritika is saying, what a massive win for New Zealand. Pakistan, Afghanistan will require tremendous effort to overtake them to make it to the top 4. We've just read out the scenarios, Kritika. I don't think it's happening. We think New Zealand are through. Nishit asks if England team batting first and Pakistan out of the World Cup and New Zealand qualify for the semis. So if he's saying if England bat first, Pakistan are anyway out.
If England bat first. Yeah.
Kavya says this will be the last opportunity. Go Kane Williamson. If they don't win this World Cup, then New Zealand will be the unluckiest team in the history of cricket. But I have a feeling that at some point you will win the tournament. Maybe this one, who knows? That's a good point, Kavya. That's a good point. Because I remember at the 2019 final, after that, the headlines, nice guys never finish first, and then when they won the World Test Championship against India 2021, that headline read, "Nice guys also finish first."
Yeah.
They are the nicest team.
Yeah,
No sledging. Sort of, it's in the culture, perhaps the way they brought up in their cricket.
Should we say that they play in the right spirit?
Right spirit. They don't time people out.
No, they don't. And
they take their time in the middle. Yeah. Kane Williamson takes his time in the middle.
They generally let the bat do the talking and the ball do the talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable, Dav. It just came to my mind that this is also a team which won the 2021 Test Championship and reached the final of that World Cup as well.
Yes.
Same year.
Yes.
Lost to Australia in Dubai.
A good set of players, yeah.
Good set of players. Yeah. The core has been... The beauty, perhaps, of this New Zealand team is whenever someone retires or goes away, there's a new set which comes in. So no Ross Taylor here, no Guptill here from that last campaign. Yeah, but then Mitchell has come in, Conway has come in. Chapman. They always seem to unearth these players who don't take too much time making that transition from the domestic level to the senior level.
And the domestic cricket, as I said earlier, has been improving. And when you've got a vibrant, strong domestic competition, then the chances of the best of those are more likely to make it in the next level if it's a strong competition.
Kavish has a question for you.
Okay.
Kavish.
All right, Kavish.
Kavish. Saudi and Bolt back picking wickets at the top. Is it safe to say the Kiwis have peaked at the right time?
This is, you're talking about Bolt or Southee?
Bolt and Southee.
And Southee. Southee,
he got a wicket at the top.
Yeah, he could have got the left-hander too. Was a drop catch.
Nathan dropped too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Southee's got a lot of experience, but he suffered at the hands of Pereira simply because it was such a really good wicket and he had a bit of a little day out for a few overs and knocked him around. He went for 8 or 9 and over, but he wasn't that many bad balls. So, you know, that combination of Southee and Bolt is coming together. Maybe, you know, maybe
again, one last time for these two fine gentlemen. You get a feeling for Williamson as well. One last hurrah, perhaps.
And Southee was captain of the New Zealand team in the same under-19 World Cup.
Oh.
Yeah. Wayne Parnell played for South Africa. Yeah. Southee at New Zealand. And Coley.
Williamson was there? I think it was Williamson.
Yeah, Williamson as well.
Final against Kohli, was it?
Yep, he was there.
That was the final, wasn't it? India-New Zealand?
Yep.
Williamson was captain, wasn't he? He played that game. I know for sure he played that game.
Yeah, but that was in the semi-final.
Semi-finals.
Rain affected. We beat New Zealand. Okay. The final was against South Africa.
Okay. Just on this, Haroon has an interesting point. First, Maham says, finally the journey's over for Pakistan. No more scenarios for reaching. At least there's an acceptance.
Yes.
Haroon saying, our mistakes cost us a spot in the semis. We as a team lack, and we should not be blaming others for our current position. These are the things we have to accept. You have to be perfect in every department.
That's a fair comment too.
It's a fair comment.
It's in your hands, and what they didn't really have Shane Shah Afridi didn't really hit his straps until well into the tournament.
The Australia game when he got 5.
Yeah, that's right. You know, he was a very good player, and he still is, obviously. But without Nazim Shah, I felt that, you know, he was leader of the pack, trying really hard to you know, be that the person that opens up one end early. I think tried too hard.
But in hindsight, it's that loss against... They started off with 2 wins. It's that loss against India which pushed them on that downward spiral.
Yeah.
And perhaps for Pakistan going forward, they need to get over this India fascination, because I remember I told you this when I was there as well.
Yeah,
looking at the press conference, hearing Babar, hearing the way Rohit Sharma spoke, the Indians know there's a gulf in class. Perhaps they don't look at, I mean, I don't want to sound controversial, but perhaps they don't look at them at the same level as they would have a England or a South Africa or New Zealand. And Pakistan have to close the gap and do it pretty fast, because with each World Cup the gap is widening.
It's a good, confident way to feel, as long as you're not too arrogant with it. But it's a good, confident.
But the Indian team wasn't arrogant.
No, that's what I mean. It's a good, confident way to look at it.
And they didn't give up. I think that's what Pakistan also need to know. They were 155 for 2. Remember?
Yeah.
And I was taking it 280, 290. We were texting.
Yeah.
And then suddenly You smell blood in the water and you go for it.
They were coasting and then bang.
Bang.
Down they go.
190 all out.
Yeah.
Okay. Ali from Pakistan is watching us. Ali. Our commiserations, Ali. He said Pak fans should not feel pain for Pakistan not qualifying for the semis. New Zealand lost matches on the trot just like Pakistan, but there was a big difference. New Zealand was damaged by injuries, while Pakistan were damaged by poor performances. The Kiwis deserve to play the semi-finals in comparison with Pakistan. It's a long tournament. You keep forgetting that for the longest time they were picking only 13 men because Saudi was out.
Yeah.
So was Williamson, and then Williamson comes back in and bang, breaks his finger and sits out again.
His thumb, yeah.
But perhaps that's also helped. Sort of injuries,
keeping
them together, sort of the backs to the wall mentality.
Yeah, well, I suppose so. I mean, they couldn't bring the captain in because of the injury, but they generally back their players anyway. You have faith in a group of people who you think will take it all the way. But you also make the slight change here and there depending on the surface. So an extra spinner once came in, maybe the wrong decision. You had an all-rounder, Nisham came in once. So it depends on the conditions that will dictate a minor changer here or there.
That Saudi over costed probably the game against Pakistan. But anyway, that's sport. And good to see them bouncing back. Last one. Happy?
Yep.
Last one?
Yes, go for it.
Dav Whatmore saying it's 8:30, I can go home early. Diggy and the sports team aren't keeping me. Let's cut to him. Let's see that 1 sec. Let's cut to Dav. No. Let's cut to Dav's close-up. Now, yes, he's going home early. He's going home early. Poor souls like Digvijay, Vidur, Shibashish Nandi and Nikhil Mathur have to stay back to wrap things up. You're going to have a night on town and have a drink perhaps for New Zealand.
I will have one, yes.
And perhaps one saying bad luck Pakistan. Last one. Asim from Pakistan is saying, Asim, Pakistan played last 3 matches with spirit, good body language and confidence.
Yeah.
The rest of the games, you can check their body language and attitude on the ground by watching the highlights.
Yeah.
The past 20 years in 50 overs cricket, Pakistan have totally failed, to be honest. Just, I must add, they did win the Champions Trophy, beating India in 17. Fakhar Zaman playing a blinder that day.
Yeah, we did notice clearly there was a change of body language, didn't they? When they were up for the game. When they were up for the game, they look a totally different team. They didn't win it, but boy, oh boy, they were very competitive and they really showed they want to win it.
The South Africa game.
Yes, that's when we need more. Yeah, we need more. And also, Fakhar Zaman, I think, also was a difference.
Yes.
Not being in form and not playing.
But then he also did his leg. He was carrying an injury, and that's what kept him out. But he came back, and that sort of lifted them all together. And perhaps that is that one positive Pakistan will take back.
Yeah.
They obviously were in India after a very long time. And while we hope they've enjoyed the biryani and then the food which they have, it's again a matter of so near yet so far. On that note, Dav Whatmore, thank you for joining me. Dav Whatmore will be back looking ahead to South Africa versus Afghanistan, which we can now tell you is an inconsequential game. Don't go by what others are telling you. We're calling it here on WION. We think India are going to play New Zealand in the first semi-final of the World Cup next Wednesday in Mumbai. And the day after that, it's South Africa versus Australia at Kolkata's Eden Gardens. But as things stand, there's South Africa versus Afghanistan. There is Australia versus Bangladesh and England versus Pakistan still to come in this group stage before India wrap things up on Diwali. They're playing Netherlands in Bengaluru. We'll have all of that covered. This is WION World of Cricket. Thanks for tuning in, especially to all our viewers from Pakistan. Sorry, that's all I can say. Goodbye.